is really just read my summary to you, and then explain it. If you have any questions along the way, you can ask. So at age 10, I became the youngest newspaper station captain, overseeing route deliveries and collections. The station captain's job was to oversee all of the newspaper couriers.
Yeah.
And my job was to make sure that they got the bills paid on time and all that. I wasn't but 10 years old. Some of those guys was 15, 16 years old,
Yeah. This is in 1955.
Yeah, 1955. Yeah, 1955. I was 10 years old. And at the same time, I found a dog chained in a yard where in the old school neighborhood, everything was close knitted, and we had a lot of liquor houses.
Yeah.
We had a lot of entrepreneurship in the neighborhood. We had business owners living in the neighborhood. We had guys doing all kinds of mischief living in the neighborhood. We had liquor houses. We had like sometimes 2 liquor houses in one block.
Yeah.
And
do you remember the streets and stuff like that?
Yeah, on Catherine and 500 block Catherine.
Yeah.
So we played from the 400 block Catherine, Monroe and Catherine, because we lived on Monroe, right near the corner. So we played from the 400 block Catherine Street all the way down to where Belvedere is.
Huh.
And see, we didn't have a playground in the neighborhood or a football field, so we did everything in the streets and in the alleys in the neighborhood. And so we would play football from the 400 block, and we had to go all the way down to Belvedere in order for you to get a touchdown. It was like 2 blocks. You had to go run 2 blocks down the street, And back during that time,
2-block field.
Yeah, back during that time, and everything was just houses and alleys, And I mean, it was an old school neighborhood, and we had a lot of seniors living in the neighborhood, and they would call us, and you didn't say no to the seniors back during that time. If they told you to do something, they would tell us that, son, come here and go to the store for me and take my book and get the stuff that I got on the book and take a nickel for yourself and get you some penny candy and, come on back. And we would do it. You wouldn't say, I don't feel like going, or I can't go. You did not answer back to any seniors back during those days. Not even the winos. You didn't make fun of them. You didn't mock them. You looked out for them. You respected them, And so we would play in the neighborhood, and it was always this dog barking down near the alley corner, at the corner in the alley, and so in the 500 block Catherine Street. So we didn't go down there. One day I said, man, I'm gonna go down there and see what that dog is like. And the guy that lived about 4 doors up, he said, man, I'll go down there, man. That's a mean, vicious dog. So I went down there and I saw this beautiful dog. He looked like he was from the Shepherd family. He had hair like Lassie, but he also, you could see he was mixed, and he was malnourished. And I went to him to try to pet him, and he bit me on my hand. And the guy said, man, I told you don't go near that dog. I said, man, I'm going to go upstairs. They said that dog belonged to the people that run the liquor house up there. So I'm going to go see if they'll give him to me. And I went up there, and they said, yeah, you can have him. So I went back to him and made friends with him. Took him off the chain, so I took the dog home. I was still 10 years old. I took the dog home and asked my mom, could I keep the dog? She said, no, don't bring that dog in here. We already have a family dog. So I trained him, and the dog lived in the alley in the 500 block. He lived in the alley. His name was Bingo. And he lived in the alley, and by me having my own paper route, when I was a little boy, I had money. Because I used to get an allowance for going to get my grandfather, who was an alcoholic. On Fridays, I would have to go get him from the liquor houses around so that he would spend all his paycheck, his money, before he got home. And my grandmother would give me 50 cents for going to get him, and then he would give me my 50 cents allowance. Plus, I had my paper route, so I would have like $8, $9, $10 worth of change in my pocket that I would make from my current papers.
So back then, how far could $8 to $10 get you?
Oh man, a candy bar. All right, look, a candy bar costs a nickel. Ice cream cone costs a nickel. Sodas went up from 5 cents to 6 cents. Man, we had a fit. Sodas went up a penny. And you could get penny candy back during that time. We talking in the early 1950s. You could get penny candy, a pack of kids for a penny, and 4 pieces of candy came in a pack of kids. Squirrel nuts, you could get sometimes 2 for a penny.
Yeah.
Mint juleps, banana splits, 2 for a penny. Cookies, nice size cookies, ginger snaps and coconut cookies, 2 for a penny.
Wow.
Guys could buy penny cigarettes.
Yeah.
Back during that.
Penny cigarettes.
Yeah, they were called Dominoes.
Not Dollar Lucy's now. We got Dollar Lucy's.
No, they were called Dominoes back in the day. The guys could get penny cigarettes. And the guys that I used to be with, what we used to do, we used to go around and find cigarette butts and light them and try to smoke them, you know.
Yeah.
And every now and then, one of my mother's boyfriend, Mr. Lockett, he used to smoke, and I used to go in his cigarette sometime and steal cigarettes, and I gotta hide in somebody's shade, you know, in the alley, and smoke cigarettes and stuff, you know, and be coughing and gagging, you know. And so so one of the ladies in the neighborhood who owned a bakery, Miss Graves, she owned a bakery, and she told me one day, she said, "Son, come here." She said, and matter of fact, all my life, everybody that I hung with were always older than me. I was always either one of the youngest or the youngest of everybody I hung with. Most of the guys I hung with were anywhere from 2 to maybe 5 years older than me, you know. And so when I was 10, some of those guys were 13 and 14, so they were teenagers. Yeah. You know, but this lady told me one day, she said, "Son, come here." I said, "Ma'am," I tried to hide a cigarette from her. She said, "Put that cigarette out." She said, "Do you like playing sports?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, let me tell you about smoking." She said, "Smoking, you would not be a good athlete because smoking will mess up your lungs and then make it hard to breathe and would make you sick. So if you want to play sports, then you need to put those cigarettes down." And that's all I needed, because from that moment right there, I never picked up another cigarette. I had no interest in learning how to smoke, because that's what we were trying to do, trying to learn how to smoke. Yeah, and I had no interest in it. So, but anyway, so in the alley, when I got my dog, and we went and stole some lumber. Matter of fact, they were building what we considered the new projects back during those days. Okay. And we went over there one evening, and we started stealing lumber because we needed some wood and some nails to build a doghouse for my dog. Yeah. And the watchman who was watching all of the materials, he came, and when he went to grab me, my dog went after him. Yeah. And he backed up. And we told him that we were getting lumber for my dog to build a doghouse. He said, "Y'all take what you got, but don't come back over here." Yeah. So we built a doghouse and trained my dog how to live in that alley. You know, and my dog would defend us from other dogs and other bullies in the neighborhood. And the older guys that used to like to chase us and frog us, wrestle us down and hit us, they couldn't do that anymore, because my dog would. All we would say, "Bingo, get him!" Yeah. And Bingo he would go get him too, and they would run, you know. And so, where Belvedere is now, that was a short Catherine Street right there. It was called the 600 block. Okay. It was the length of the width of Belvedere. Yeah. Well, we didn't go on the other side of 6th Street because that's where the uptown guys live. Okay. But they didn't come in our neighborhood either. Yeah. Now, we went in their neighborhood more so than they came in our neighborhood. Yeah. Because by me and my brothers being the paper boys, our routes took us over there. Yeah. And so we'd have to go and collect. Sometimes they would try to rob us, and we'd have to run to an adult's house, you know, and they would let us in, and then we would run home, you know.
So what was considered uptown? So what was that? If you had to give a
on the other side of Belvedere,
like right where Carver and all that stuff is.
Yeah, okay. That was uptown. Okay. And then when you go past Carver School, then you go up to Newtown. Yeah. And you really didn't want to go to Newtown. You know, it was bad enough going uptown, you know. But the thing is that we went uptown more so than they came. They didn't come up our streets as bad as they claimed to be. They didn't come up in the 500 and 400 block Catherine Street, because we had some tough guys up there too. Yeah. You know. So anyway, they had this dog named Tramp. He was a big dog, belonged to this guy named Muhammad. I see Muhammad every now and then today. Yeah. And that dog was mean. And that dog, he lived in the 700 block, Catherine. That dog would chase you out of that block. One day, they decided that they were going to come and attack us. Yeah. They crossed 6th Street, which is Belvedere today. Yeah. They crossed 6th Street, 6th and Catherine, and came up in our neighborhood. And so they had their dog, and we started fighting them, and their dog started chasing us. And somebody said, "Where's Bingo? Where's Bingo?" Yeah. And I ran up in the alley, and I said, "Bingo!" I called him, and he came out, and he saw that dog. Yeah. They got to fighting. Bingo beat that dog and chased them back, and when Bingo chased the dog back, we rallied and chased them back. You know? Yeah. And so we didn't have no more problems with them coming up in our neighborhood. Still, I was 10, 11 years old, you know. Yeah. But that was what was going on, man. So anyway, so Bingo, my dog, taught me a lot, man. Taught me a warrior spirit, what a warrior spirit was about. Plus, I ran with 3 guys in the neighborhood. They were all older than me, Richard, Baybro, and Melvin. Richard and Baybro were brothers. They were fighters. Them little guys could fight, you know. Yeah. They were short, but we were all short during that time, but they were like 2, 3 years older than me. Yeah. And they could fight. And Melvin could fight. He was the guy that we played in his backyard in that alley I told you about in the 500 block, Catherine Street. But when I grew older and moved into Jackson Ward, I carried that spirit that I got from my little buddies from the old school neighborhood. But when I first moved into Jackson Ward, my mentor became the guy that became my mentor and big brother figure. He was a known gangster in the city. His name was Billy Red. Reputation for being a street fighter, a hustler, and a gangster, but he was shrewd. He was real sharp. Whenever somebody said something to him to try to jam him up, first thing he'd do was look at you and smile like that. Because he was so sharp. He knew he could he could out-talk you, you know, and out-think you, you know. But he told me when I was a little boy, and just moved into Jackson Ward, he told me, he said, "Now, look, don't you go down the playground until I take you down there." So I was excited because I went to the school in Jackson Ward, Baker School, so I knew a lot of guys from my school. So I went running down the playground, and 2 guys that lived out there, they saw me. One was older, the one that grabbed me was about 4 years older than me. And so he grabbed me and said, "What you doing down this playground, boy?" He grabbed me, and his younger brother, who was my age, hit me in my nose. So I went back home, and Billy Red was at the house. He said, "You've been on the playground, right?" I said, he said, "Didn't I tell you don't go?" He said, "Who did it?" And I told him who did it. So he walked me back down there, and when we saw the 2 guys, he said, "Come here." And they ran. Yeah. They ran off the playground. And from that day, they never came back down the playground. They moved out of the neighborhood, but they never came back down the playground. But Billy told me, he said, "Now, tomorrow, when you go down to the playground, tomorrow, I want you to hit the first person that approaches you." And I went down the playground, and we had, doing those days, we didn't have a basketball court. We had like a dirt area and one basket. And I was holding the ball, and this guy came up to me. He said, "Give me that basketball, boy." I said, "You want this basketball?" He said, "Yeah." So I said, "Here." I threw the ball to him, and when he caught it with 2 hands, I said, "Pop!" Hit him in his nose. You know? So, and Billy was down there. He said, "That's what I'm talking about." Yeah. So from that, the guy said, "Man, this little light-skinned dude is crazy," you know. So then I started hanging with the guys, you know, and then because I always hung with some pretty tough guys, you know. I started hanging with the guys and some of the natural leaders. And then as I got older, you know, I was a pretty good athlete, pretty good football player, basketball player, and became a pretty good street fighter. Matter of fact, I got to the point where I always had this propensity to lean towards helping the downtrodden. So I would always speak up for the lesser guys. And so I ended up getting a reputation as being the giant killer, being the guy who would take up for the lesson for everybody else. And like I wrote here, my fighting days in Jackson Ward, I went 10-1-1. I won 10, tied 1, and lost 1. But the one that I lost to was one of the older guys. I mean, real older guys, about 10 years older than me. He was a street fighter. Matter of fact, he was a Golden Gloves champion in the military. And anyway, that's a long story, so I don't want to get into about that fight.
Yeah, we're gonna have more. So
yeah. Also, too, at 10 years old, I can't leave this out because the building is a historic landmark today. It's the the new Black History Museum down on Lee Street. I think it's St. Peter and Lee. That was the old neighborhood that I lived in, and when I was 10, my mom told me, don't go to the gym tonight. There used to be our gymnasium, but we used to go in and play basketball and wrestle and do stuff and run around, in the evenings. But anyway, I followed my brother to the gym, and I went in, and my little buddies, they were in there wrestling. Come on, Robert! And I ran and jumped in, and we were wrestling and tossing each other around. And the guy flipped me from behind, and when he flipped me up in the air, I grabbed his leg coming down, and he fell across my arm, broke my shoulder. And I was laying in serious pain, but the worst thing was, they had to go and get my mother out of the movie theater about 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
And she had already told me not to go there, Yeah. So anyway, I ended up staying in the hospital for a while.